And you know what I'm noticing about Sandoval in this episode, especially when we get to some of the awkward conversations like this one between him and Ariana, and they're talking about her freezing her eggs and him getting ready to go do the deed to fertilize those eggs. It's just weird because it reminds me, I had a friend one time who was going through an affair, and my friend seemed so happy before this affair started. And then when I was speaking with my friend, it seemed like they were making every excuse in the book about the person that a month ago they were so happy with, about how now they're constantly on their back, they're constantly nagging them. It's like he was trying to convince himself that I don't want to be in this relationship anymore because of the infatuation, the sneaking around, that one night stand, and what could it possibly be? Almost as if the grass is greener on the other side.
Oh, always. And that's the grass is greener on the other side is the biggest issue with people that can't find happiness, because there'll always be, and especially in Los Angeles, there'll always be another younger, a hotter person that walks by, and you need to decide, like, is this relationship something I'm actively being a part of? He's very passive here. She's like, I want to freeze my eggs, and he's like, well, she wants this to happen, so I guess I'll do this. He's very much just like a dog being tugged along on the chain, and it's law of attraction, right? So the second he feels like he's found something else that's giving him more love, he's got this bitterness that he's bringing into this conversation, and she's giving it right back to him, because that's just how it works.
Yeah, and I also feel like too, when she's saying, "Listen, I got healthy to have my egg retrieval. I had to take certain steps. You need to get healthy too." One of the things is to not stress as much, but we can't really control that. We have $1 million in their new restaurant. The kitchen staff has quit, well, got fired technically. The booth guy can't cut shit right. Everything is going wrong that could possibly go wrong. And then she's like, I understand that's stressful, but maybe lay off of the shots. Maybe kind of chill out a little bit. And he's like, that's my problem. Like everything I do is wrong. It's like, this, what? She's asking you to be a little bit healthier, you douche.
Yeah, like switch to a light lager, maybe. Like it's like that's about as heavy of a drink as you can have. And he's like, well, that's how I cope. It's like, well, okay, man, maybe 15 years ago, but bro. And it's unfair, unfortunately, the gender issue here, because she's got to deal with the biological clock that he doesn't have. I mean, men have a biological clock, but not to the same extent. So he's total F-boy. He's in the band. He's got his fingernail. No offense to getting his fingernails done, but he's worried about all these things. And it's like, if you only have a couple extra hours in the day, maybe an hour at the salon is one of the things you can cut out. But he's like, I can't be out there with my fingernails chipped. And it's like, all right, that's the priority, I guess.
I mean, and by the way, when I saw this photo and I saw how he was looking at her, but then I saw this photo and saw how he was looking at her, I was like,
yeah. And look, maybe the relationship with Ariana was doomed to fail, but it seemed like he couldn't let it end in the healthy way or make those strong choices. There's just never an excuse. I mean, end the relationship and move on and do whatever you want. But yeah, I mean, it just makes her look so dumb. And trust is something you give your partner, and even if they don't deserve it, it says more about you. Like Ariana seems like a trusting person, and right. And sometimes that'll lead to like someone preying on and abusing that trust.
I agree with that. Do you think that deflection is one of like the key components to identifying a narcissist?
Man, it's so funny, right? Because Los Angeles is the home of narcissism, right? It's literally the entertainment capital, so everyone comes here. But it's so hard because you're on a show where everything's fueled and gassed up. Like, I don't know how they act on their normal Tuesday versus when things are heightened.
This is how they act.
Yeah, this is how they act. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason why these people these shows become successful. It's not just, a couple of regular people that are modest and humble and this and that. They're there because they offer traits that we watch with our jaw dropped, because we're like, oh my gosh, how do they not see how narcissistic this might be, or how self-centered? But everyone's just worried about themselves.
And it seems like it's a total lack of accountability with every conversation that we're seeing play out with Tom Sandoval on this episode. Like with the one with Ariana, it's like, you want me to not be me because now I can't take shots? And it's like, no, you asshole. She wants you to she wants you to be around for a long time, and you're her partner, and she wants you to be healthy. And then he's like, flipping out over the restaurant. And he's like, listen, most performers, when they give a B performance, that's good. Like, we don't need an A grade restaurant. I'm like, what kind of stupid mentality? I hate the word stupid, but what kind of foolish mentality is that to open a new business and be like, as long as you get a B or a C, we're good.
Yeah, a restaurant has to earn that B rating, because there's restaurants where I'm like, hey, I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but this is worth it. But not a new restaurant. My wife would not. That's the first thing she searches on Yelp, is like anything below an A rating is not happening. And here he is admitting, before they even have this place open, hey, let's give them some potato chips. We got to open. And then I love what Schwartz was saying when he was like, look, you huff and puff about doing all this stuff, but you're never there to actually get it done. He just, like, Sandoval, I mean, it does not sound like the type of guy you'd want to go into business with.
No, not at all. And I have to say this too, like when I was working, I want to say with them, because they both own 2.5%, which every time I say that, everybody in the live chat is like, Adam, they own 5%. They actually own 2.5% each of TomTom. And when they would come in, it was like a show, right? They would come in like Mickey and Goofy, who, when the characters come out at Disney, everybody sees them, they get excited, they take photos, you get waves, you get like, hello, how are you? And then it's like, boom, they're creating that kind of like exciting environment, and then people are spending more money. That was the whole situation. They were brought in to be mascots. Lisa Vanderpump is a very smart businesswoman. So is Ken. I mean, he's not a woman, but you know what I mean. And for them, I feel like they took what they thought was, which is a very successful restaurant. Look at TomTom, man. We did this. Our names are on that building. Not realizing that they didn't have much to do with the success of the restaurant, as far as putting together the kitchen staff, putting together the service staff, putting together the logistics to make it a well-oiled machine. They just got to kind of show up and then film a couple scenes like they were cleaning the bathroom, which we know is pre-produced. And now I feel like they took that, it fueled their ego, and they're like, let's open a restaurant, man.
Yeah, and the actual like general manager there, like, he's like, no, we can't do this because of that. And there's a reason why every decision gets made, and they'll come in and be like, why isn't the kitchen open? Well, because the whole staff got fired or quit. It's like, and meanwhile, this all happens while they're in Mexico making out, at the pool. You can't write this.
You can't write this. And you know what else was funny too? I worked in hospitality for over 10 years, nightclubs, restaurants, all of it. And when the owners come in, the GM is like up that person's ass, like, oh, is everything? Oh, yes, guys, you better get your together tonight. And they kind of like fall in line. They make everything a little bit more difficult for the staff, because they're like, there's a lot of eyes on us tonight, and these are the eyes that matter. And when it comes to how they deal with the owners, they're very just like, what do you need? I'll make it happen, and walking the line so they can keep their job. And for Brett, this GM that they hired, I'm like, it's very interesting to me that you're telling them how this is going to work, and you're firing kitchen staff while they're gone. Like, is that not a conversation that you would clue them into? I don't think that was pre-produced.